Okay, welcome to this workshop of the Surrealist Chessboard. Before we get started, and I kind of tell you the process, I'm going to kind of introduce some of our tools here. You're going to need something to kind of mark with, and it can just be whatever you have in a domestic drawer. You're going to need some scissors. And you're going to need anything to create like a shape, and that could just be as easy, and for this assignment we're going to be doing circles, so it could be like creating a circle around a jar, or you could use tape. If you have a chess piece, you can use a chess piece. It's anything that can do that. If you do have a kind of like industrial like hole puncher, like that is also like helpful as well. So we'll use all of these here. And then you're going to need things to cut out, and it can be really anything from like just scraps from a magazine. It can just be scraps from a notebook. If you have an old magazine, when you do kind of pick out your scraps, pay attention to like what kind of colors they have or pattern. It could be an old drawing. I brought this old drawing that I had in that didn't make the cut. So you're just going to bring in anything that you can cut your shapes out of. So what we're going to do is the workshop is called the Surrealist Chessboard or chess game, and what we're going to do is that we're going to create a grid structure, because a grid is just something that just kind of helps with composition. A lot of things are based off grids, so they kind of come in handy. You can be really precise with your grid and make them really even, or you can have variety of different space in that too. I'm going to be using the edge of a notepad to create my lines, but you can use a ruler if you have it, or any type of edge of any type of surface like a book. Alright, so I'm going to quickly do this, and this does, like I said, this doesn't have to be precious. The more flow you can create, the easier it is to get into the zone. And we want to get in the zone so we don't have any like hesitations or inhibitions. Definitely don't have to treat this with preciousness, but kind of just hop on along for the ride and just see what happens. Probably getting close to the end here. Let's see. And we'll cut this one in half. Alright, so we almost done with our grid here. Now we're going to go the other way to kind of create this chessboard kind of feel. And like I said, it doesn't need to be even. It's just let your intuition just kind of guide you. Alright, so we're going to put this aside. Now we have our grid or our chessboard. I think as a rule, try not to view this as this is the top or the bottom. This thing is going to be made to kind of go back and forth and move around. So there's really no rules. So one thing we can do is just start taking some of our scrap here. I'm going to go ahead and use our industrial hole punch, and we'll just cut out a couple shapes. And what's nice about when you are making kind of collage type process is that the negative space are always good. You know, there's some good stuff going on here. You know, you have your circle, but then you also have this like negative space. So these are good things to save. Maybe they might make the cut. We don't know yet, but they're good to have. And you can feel free to have a full circle, but if there's some half circles, that's okay as well. I'm feeling this hole punch, so maybe we might get some Tiger King action here. Just the mustache. Some comic relief. Bring in some black and white, more like pattern-like. That's a big one right there. Alright. Alright, so these are some good things going on here. Now I'm going to kind of bring in, you know, some more kind of less magazine. This is an old drawing that I did, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the scale. We'll do cut these out with scissors. An old drawing's always good. If you have any kids and they want to do a drawing, you know, some kind of, usually kids make some really nice marks. It can be from junk mail, an old phone book. You know, text and documents are always kind of interesting. Alright, we'll do that. Let's see, we'll go ahead and change the scale again. We'll use this chess piece. So like I said, the less thinking, the better. You know, you don't have to, this isn't a time for judging. I always like to say we're not making precious works of art, we're just playing with material more. We'll get this guy in the mix. There's something kind of enjoyable about cutting out shapes without the pressure of, you know, following the rules. Once again, negative shapes, you know, they'll always come in handy. So let's keep these around. Let's see. How do you do? Let's see. I'm gonna zoom in on this. Some small circles. These might come in handy. If you're hanging out with somebody, you could be drawing, they can be the cutter. So Alright, I think we're coming close to having enough players in the game. If you have an X-Acto knife and a X-Acto cutting board, you could do that as well. Alright, and the negative space, you know, go ahead and keep it, you never know. Well, look at this. This is an old scribble mark, which I think might be a good last minute call up. So let's go ahead and get him in the game. All right, so let's look at our players. So we have got some yellow dots here. All right, some negatives. So we have all these options here. Alrighty, now we're ready to start the game. So I'm going to take my glue stick here and, like I said before, go ahead and try to create more of a flow. Testing out these. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to start with this guy here. The trick with glue stick, which is like the best thing for paper, is you just want to make sure you get the edges. The grid's also pretty helpful, like I said, you know, sometimes you can just react. We'll go with this one right here. Alright, and we'll that right there. Here we've got our Tiger King. And it's basically wherever you want to put them. You know, you're going to look, you know, it's only going to make sense to you, and really listen to your gut. It'll tell you where to put this. If you are having trouble, then just put it, put it anywhere you want. You can close your eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this. All right, clear that a little more. All right, we'll get one of these wrinkled ones here. This will take a little more glue. See, before you stick, you might want to just float it around, see what it says to you. Sometimes like an edge of a scissors is good to have. Get it nice and, let's see, other part of the Tiger King. Let's see, he might be right here. Alright. Alright, let's try to, maybe let's go for one of these negative space. And this is where your grid will come in handy. Alright, so I might just go ahead and line it up right here. Alright, feel like we're almost getting somewhat close to the end. Maybe several more. Maybe I'll go ahead and maybe I'll use this one. This is kind of like a funky piece. See if we're trim it up. I don't know, it's not talking to me, so get rid of it. If you're not feeling it, don't force it. Can't tell you why I didn't like it, it just didn't feel right. Alright, this is feeling a little better. Sometimes you want to place things down where they are, where it makes sense, but sometimes maybe you're putting it down to create a little tension. Speaking of tension, it's a good time to maybe like start using maybe some like half circles, you know, kind of break outside the dot. And maybe this one is more on the edge. You can also maybe cut one in half and put it on the edge. Let's see. We can use, and we'll go ahead and do that one. All right. Alright, so now we might want to rotate, and I think we have room for one more, maybe. Let's see what we got here. Maybe something, maybe we'll throw something that's not really too colorful. So yeah, that's looking good. Alright. Well, I'm feeling good. We got a lot of different moves on our grid. We've kind of looked at everything from all these different angles. Now during this process, you know, you might start seeing some kind of dialogue that might be happening. And based off that dialogue, maybe you can pick, you know, a direction for the next step. I am kind of feeling this area right here. Now we're going to kind of maybe, you know, mix it up a little bit and put some movement to some of these things. And kind of like our last session where we took the line and added or complemented or did some accents, you can do the same thing here. So these two are kind of similar. You know, I might kind of try to break them up, and I can maybe break them up by doing like maybe a circle within a circle. This kind of just doesn't totally change it, but it makes it slightly different. You can also, if you find a shape within a shape, you could maybe add some simple subtle lines there. That's okay too. You can also, let's go ahead and do something like this. Once again, the grid, this is why the grid kind of comes in handy. It helps you kind of guide some direction and parameters at the same time. All right, well that looks looking good. I might switch it up, maybe change my marker to a Sharpie. And this you could maybe add some like echo lines. So we'll just go ahead and add some lines. That just kind of adds a little something to it. You don't want to go too much with the Sharpie, it's pretty dominant. Alright, so today I brought some ink, so we'll see what this does. Ink a little goes a long way, so you want to make sure you get a lot of the excess off, and we'll do the same thing. Maybe I will add a little line. And a little wobbliness, you know, things don't have to be like perfect. There's already a grid here. We got some concrete shapes, so a little wobbliness never hurts. And kind of like our last workshop, the mapping, you know, you can use some of those techniques here, just based off the grid. With a brush, you know, you can kind of go in and out of different pressures. It's one of my favorite things to do. It just kind of gives a nice, interesting thing to it. You can do it fast. Just kind of gives it a little different feel. It's not a concrete line. Let's go ahead, maybe let's just fill this one in right here. It's looking good. Let's do that one again. That was fun. Alright. And then since I have kind of fanned out my brush, let's see if we can get some nice multiple lines here. A different way to kind of do your kind of echo line. Let's see. Alright, I don't want to get too out of hand. But I was liking that. Alright, I'm going to put this ink down because that can dominate. Get some of this stuff off. Alright, you know, you can also kind of turn it around and see if you can get a different angle. I kind of filled up my time over here, try to get a fresh perspective. I'm kind of enjoying this one right here. Now let's kind of think about movement, and to connect all these things and to maybe guide the eye through it, let's create some kind of line that connects all these different planets together. And if you want, you know, you could, you know, everything is kind of inspired by chess elements, so you can almost think about movement of pieces or movement in general, however you want to do it. I'm going to use pencil first, and what you want to do is just kind of think about like a path. Alright, so I went ahead and erased this line here, and now we got this kind of organic shape. You know, the organic shape, which is, you know, we didn't create it in terms of you know, going out and cutting these shapes, but we created it by kind of moving it around. So now we have a lot of things going on. I don't think we need to add too much more. You know, you might want to just kind of spin it around and see if there's anything else you want to add. I might add a little bit of, I got some lines here, and I might want to see some lines up here just to kind of balance it out. So I'll go ahead and maybe go up here. Maybe I'll make my own little miniature chessboard, and that'll be a nice little thing that we can explore up here. Maybe react to some of these shapes within the shapes. Again, I might go ahead and be inspired by the grid again. Maybe I'll come over here in between these brush strokes. Move it around. I'm tempted to go in here, but sometimes you need a spot where your eye can rest. I'm probably on the border of making it too busy, but let's take it one more step further. This will be a little more loose. Alright. I'm tempted to do something right here. This is kind of a, let's see what we got here. That's a nice orange. So I'll end the drawing now with this one last dot. At least I think I'm going to. And we'll place it right here. Alright. Alright, and that's our drawing for today. You might want to just go ahead and spin it around, and if you want to determine what is top or bottom. For me, I think this is the top, this is the bottom. And that's the Surrealist chess game. Thank you.